Hi, everybody. Welcome to my presentation on intermittent fasting. My name is Miranda. I am a licensed nutritionist in Minnesota. I have local and national clients. My appointments are either through Skype, over the phone, or in person. My business is Thrive Nutrition. I'm a functional medicine licensed nutritionist. And my website, if you want to check it out, is www.thrivenutritionmn.com. And today we're going to get started on learning about what intermittent fasting is and how it can help you in your health journey. Some of you may know what intermittent fasting means. Others may be like, what? What is that? I've never heard of that before. And that's absolutely fine. We're going to break it down today on how, what it is and then how you can implement it in your day-to-day life. First things first, though, I'm just going to let you know that I am not a doctor. This webinar is not here to provide medical advice, diagnose, or treat you. Everything here is for general information purposes only, and you are encouraged to speak with your physician if you are wanting to use any of this information. Now, intermittent fasting, also known as IF, can be a really good thing to add to your health fitness plan. IF is also known as scheduled eating, and that kind of clarifies it a little bit better, where you will be doing some sort of a fast, or you'll schedule in when you'll be eating throughout the day. And it really just looks at the timing of your meals. Intermittent fasting is supported by a large growing body of evidence showing that certain forms of fasting are very good for you. There are different ways you can do intermittent fasting. The longest would require that you abstain from food for the most of 36 hours, but fasting from 14 to 18 hours is much more common. And one way to do that would be simply by delaying your eating time, by skipping breakfast perhaps. And that may be something you need to jumpstart your day. And I know that may seem really weird for you to hear, skipping breakfast by a nutritionist. However, when you skip breakfast, you are still in a fasted state, which helps your body utilize fat more for energy. And we'll talk about that moving forward. There are a few people that should be careful with intermittent fasting, and those would include anyone with hypoglycemia and then also anyone with diabetes. You'll maybe want to start very slow or even talk to your doctor about it. This is the same for anyone who's pregnant or breastfeeding. The cool thing with intermittent fasting is it changes the function of your cells, your genes, and your hormones. It's quite fascinating. Your body initiates important cellular repair processes and changes hormone levels to make stored body fat more accessible. Some other things that intermittent fasting does is that it drops insulin levels. And then when insulin is low, that facilitates fat burning. When insulin is high, say after a high carb, high sugary meal, then it tells your body cells to let in blood glucose, and then you're burning glucose for energy. Over time, a high carb, high sugar diet can lead to insulin resistance. And intermittent fasting does the exact opposite, where it actually promotes insulin sensitivity. Intermittent fasting also increases human growth hormone as much as 5-fold. And higher levels of this hormone facilitate fat burning and muscle gain. That is really important. Like we already discussed, it helps with cellular repair, and it helps the body remove waste material from cells, which is a great way for your cells to detox. And lastly, it does change gene expression in a beneficial way. that promote longevity and protection against disease. Intermittent fasting can also help with weight loss and reduction of belly fat. One study had participants eat the same amount of calories as before, except in just one huge meal in the evening. They lost body fat and increased their muscle mass, along with a host of other beneficial changes in health markers. Now, generally speaking, intermittent fasting will make you eat fewer meals since you are eating within an 8 to 10 hour window. You could always compensate by eating much more during the 2 meals you'll be having each day, but most people end up taking in fewer calories. But it is important to make note that if you do eat the same number of calories as if you would when you're not intermittent fasting, you will still lose weight. And we'll talk about how this is possible. When you are intermittent fasting, you have a trifecta of lower insulin levels, higher growth hormone levels, and increased amounts of norepinephrine. All 3 of these things increase the breakdown of body fat and facilitate its use for energy. For this reason, short-term fasting actually increases your metabolic rate by 3.6 to 14%, which helps you burn even more calories. And to put it in a different way, intermittent fasting works on both sides of the equation. It boosts your metabolic rate, calories out, and reduces the amount of food you eat, reduces calories in. And according to a 2014 review of scientific literature, intermittent fasting can cause weight loss of 3 to 8% over 3 to 24 weeks, which is a very large amount considering that these people may not have changed anything that they were eating, just the timing. These people also lost 4 to 7% of their waist circumference, which indicates that they lost lots of belly fat. And if you don't know, belly fat is the most harmful fat to have on your body. It's in the abdominal cavity and it surrounds the organs, which then distresses your body and causes disease. Another study also showed that intermittent fasting caused less muscle loss than continuous calorie restriction. This is so important to just take a second to look at that even more, to discuss it even more. Muscle mass is one of the best things that you can try to improve or grow on your body. It is the metabolic energy center of your body. It's what is part of what causes your metabolism either to be fast or slow. As people age, especially women, we lose muscle mass, large amounts, especially over the age of 40, which results in a slowed metabolism. So you may be eating the same amount of foods, but still gaining weight over each decade. And that can be because muscle mass is lost. Also, muscle mass, it not only helps you be a strong person, but again, when you get older, with less muscle mass, you are more prone to injuries and you are not as efficient in repairing from those injuries. Your muscle acts as pretty much like a stored protein source that your body can use when you have any infections or if you have a surgery or if you're healing. It pulls from those sources to help your body heal. And so all things considered, when it retains that muscle mass and helps you lose weight, it's an incredibly powerful tool. A little bit more on the muscle mass here. Some people are concerned that if they would do intermittent fasting, they may decrease their muscle mass, but research shows that it causes a favorable shift in metabolism that actually preserves muscle. And this is why. During the most common fasting duration of about 18 to 24 hours, our cells shift from using glucose as their primary fuel source to using fat. And this means that our fat stores, such as triglycerides, are broken down and used for energy. The breakdown of proteins for fuel does not begin until the 3rd day of fasting. That means intermittent fasting remains an option for optimizing health, even those wanting to make or maintain or gain muscle mass. And if you're an athlete listening to this, you may be thinking, well, that's cool, but I know that when I exercise, I know that I'm breaking down some of my muscle tissue. How would intermittent fasting help with that? Or would it actually deplete my muscle mass? And actually, when you are an athlete, you can still do intermittent fasting. You just have to tweak it a little bit. And you need to just make sure to add protein to your intermittent fasting routine. As a general guideline, you'll want to consume a high quality protein 30 to 60 minutes after finishing your workout. An example would be some sort of a shake, like a whey shake or a whey protein or a pea protein shake. And then that helps your body rebuild the muscle that you broke down during your workout and also helps you lose fat simultaneously. Researcher has shown that high quality protein from meat and whey has a positive effect on blood sugar, muscle building, changing body composition, and sparing muscle while losing fat. And a way that this may look like for you would be working out in the mornings. And this is the best of both worlds. When you are sleeping and have breakfast, you're breaking that fast. So you're breaking the time that your body was using fat for energy. And with the introduction of food, then your body is relying more on glucose for energy. When you work out prior to having your first meal, that allows you to work out in a fasted state, which then helps you burn even more fat. Plus then the protein loading 30 to 60 minutes after your workout helps you lose even more fat and build muscle. It's important to note that avoiding grains will help. Even though it's a popular belief that carb loading helps athletic performance, you'll burn through that carb source very quickly and then quote unquote hit a wall. And even if you're not an athlete, the same thing does happen for you if you start your day with muffins, bagels, or pancakes drizzled in syrup with juice. It ignites a vicious cycle of hunger and snacking. And then typically even on more carbs to help spike that blood sugar back up. And then over time, that leads to insulin resistance. One last thing I wanted to mention about intermittent fasting, there actually are a number of other benefits. There's cardiovascular benefits, there are neurological benefits, but I wanted to point out reduction of oxidative stress and inflammation. Oxidative stress is one of the steps towards aging in many chronic diseases, and it involves the creation of free radicals, which are unstable molecules. And what happens is these unstable molecules then will bounce around and steal electrons from our protein or enzymes or DNA, which then damages those things, and then they are unstable and bump around and then they try to stabilize themselves, but then cause other molecules to be unstable. And that's why it's important to have things like vitamins and antioxidants, and those help with being antioxidants pretty much. So they donate those electrons and help your body become stabilized. And just the simple thing of intermittent fasting can also reduce oxidative stress, and it can help the body's resistance to it. Oxidative stress over time can also cause inflammation, and intermittent fasting can help fight that inflammation, which is another key driver for all sorts of common diseases. All right, so then we're going to spend the rest of the time today talking about some different intermittent fasting strategies. Now that you know a little bit more about what it is, you can maybe visualize how you might implement this in your day-to-day routine. The method that I like the best is called the 16-8 method, and it involves fasting for 14 to 16 hours where you really don't consume anything except water. Or you can do a bulletproof coffee, which is a combination of grass-fed butter and either coconut oil or MCT oil blended into your coffee in the morning. And then that would give you that would be during the 14 to 16 hours during that fast. And then when you're ready to eat, you would eat in between an 8 to 10 hour window. This is really great for people who exercise. It helps you, again, shed that excess fat and gain muscle mass. And then some people will have, you can do the 8 to 10 hour window pretty much whenever. So an example would be eating in between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., which may be too early. I actually tend to have my first meal around 11 or 12. The important thing would be just to be mindful of not eating too late. I would say 8 p.m. is pushing it, and that's just because if you eat too late, it can interfere with your sleep, and everyone knows that it's really important to have good sleep. A second method would be eat, stop, eat, and this would just entail 1 or 2 24-hour fasts each week, and that would mean not having dinner one day until dinner the next day, or breakfast and then breakfast. This is a tougher way to intermittent fast, and it can be easier when you have a high, healthy fat, low carb diet, as the healthy, high fat diet will help you normalize your hunger hormones, help you have improved satiety. People also like it because they don't have to meal plan 1 to 2 days per week, which is nice. But I thought it was too difficult myself, and I don't like this one very much, but everyone has their own thing that works for them. This is another one that isn't very popular. It's the warrior diet, and it's also designed to help improve your fitness, but you don't eat for 20 hours out of the day except for vegetables, and then you feast for the last 4 hours. And that one isn't as popular. The last one, though, is probably one of the other popular options, and that's the 5-2 diet. And basically, you're eating normally 5 days out of the week, and then the other 2 days, you're eating between 500 to 600 calories. And I tried that one. I liked that one, but you do have to do a little bit more planning on which days you're going to be having the 500 to 600 calories, and it does kind of require calorie counting, which I'm not super into, and that's why I like to do the 16-8 approach. And here are the sources. So I wanted to thank you so much for spending time listening to my webinar today. If you would like to have the replay available, you can do that by going onto my website. I have a tab that says webinar replays. My website is www.thrivenutritionmn.com. And you can also spend some time looking at some previous webinars that I have done. And I'm always uploading new webinars all of the time. All right. Well, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.